Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Reliving the Extreme, an ECW
Back, baby.
podcast. We've missed. I was gonna say we're back. There's been some vacations. We had a little unfortunate grieving period for our buddy Mr. Archie Mitchell
Yeah.
last week, and I did put up that tribute show here on the RTE feed as well. So
Reliving the
we're back
Archie.
in business now, back to doing the week to week of ECW. What's that?
Said reliving the Archie. You would have thought that was funny.
Reliving the Archie. And this week we are discussing the episode of ECW Hardcore TV from April the 29th, 1997. You already know this, but we might as well do it. This is the Brothers Maxon. I'm Nate. That's Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
Not exactly sure if Chad's going to be on with us tonight, but if he does jump in, we'll be happy to have him. But yeah, we're it seems like forever ago that we reviewed, because when I saw the Chris Candido Tammy footage at the beginning of the show, I was like, man, it seems like we watched that like a year ago. But no, it was just a few weeks ago. But yeah, we opened the show with the footage from last week, the incident with Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch showing up in ECW, and RVD goosing her, and Candido doing good Looney Tunes outrage over said goosing. And this is 90. I was wondering, I got to wondering after we did the episode last week, because she's actually still under contract with the WWF at this point. I know at this point now it's kind of obvious to everybody that ECW gets talent from WWF, but because she still hasn't managed the Road Warriors yet. That's not until next year.
Yeah, because if you remember when last week or whatever, when this aired, they were talking about whether or not they were going to be allowed to air the footage or not because she was under contract with the WWF.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that's true. I guess, yeah, Joey did kind of allude to that. Like, I don't know if we could show this or not, but anyway, like I said, we start with that, and then we go into an intro from Joey Styles, talking about how they're on the outskirts of Boston, Massachusetts this week, and another yes. Well, they actually, this show's from a couple of different places. I noticed the footage, but yes, they're back at the dog track for the first match. Joey, like I said on the last episode, I'm pretty sure Raven has given his notice at this point. He's on his way out. So they're going to get every bit. I know I wrote down here, they're going to get every bit of everything they can out of Scott Levy and Stevie Richards before they are off to off to WCW.
Yes.
Because Joey tells us that there's an incident that happened with Raven, and he goes on. I know you did AV Club. I don't know if you knew what he was talking about or not. I know there's different types of video and what have you, but they filmed this on a certain kind of video so that they can add the effects to Raven's videos, but they're trying to convert it over to beta so they can air it today. Whether or not we air it while we're recording or in post-production, we will have this Raven footage building up as a, just building it up as a cliffhanger or what have you for getting to see the footage later on.
Yeah, they could have played it if they wanted to. They're just trying to milk it. That's all they're doing. Is what it is.
But I learned something. I did not know that back in the day there was a special kind of video you had to use if you wanted to add those kind of effects. I didn't know that. So I learned something by watching this show.
There were a couple of different systems. When I was in school, we had a thing called Chroma Key. And it was a thing that you could add different effects and shit to it. You weren't allowed to use it when you were a sophomore or freshman, but when you came a junior or a senior, you were allowed to use Chroma Key. And you were like, yeah.
I'm going to make a badass video.
Yeah.
But like Aaron said, they're back at the dog track that has the low ceiling for this opening matchup. I put down, I know it's a dog track, but I always write down whenever I see this arena, it looks like a bus station. I don't know why. I just think they're wrestling in a bus station or a train station. It just has that look.
Totally looks like a bus station. It doesn't help.
The wrestlers just get out of the Greyhounds.
Doesn't help that the fans there look like they'd be at the bus station.
It's like Hog Wild, but instead of bikers, it's like or beach bash at the beach when they had bash at the beach on the beach. It's not like people there to see wrestling. It's just people trying to get on the bus.
Yeah, poor saps that don't have $99.
But the opening match is the FBI, Tracy Smothers, and Little Guido. I always want to say Nunzio. I don't know why. It's Little Guido, Tracy Smothers, and Little Guido against the BWO's Hollywood Nova and the Blue Guy. And they are escorted. Of course, Tommy Rich is with the FBI, and the Inchworm is with the Blue World Order.
Yes. I knew if Chad was on here, he wouldn't get it, but I know you will, hopefully. These four guys, and I know it's not the same era or the same year, but these four guys are the DDP and Johnny B. Bad of ECF.
It's the never
Like,
ending story. It's the song that won't
yeah,
end.
they only wrestle each other, and they typically open the show. It's like, god damn. From like 96 into like 97, maybe early 98, the FBI fucking fights Blue Meanie and fucking Nova a lot. And it's not a bad match, but it's the same match over and over and
No,
over
no.
again.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Tommy
Um,
Rich before the match. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say what you were going to say. You might have got ready to say what I was going to say. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you were going to say Tommy Rich cut his promo to get his heat, and then Tracy Smothers does his little dance. And Joey had a great line when he said, "It's like, oh, he's doing his dance. It's not Italian. It's a telethon." Like, I thought that was funny because he's like that. Basically, he said that dance is not Italian. It's retarded. Without saying.
Yeah, and of course I had to put down here. Here we go with the Peacock version of "Staying Alive," which is like a symphony
Yeah.
kind of thing. Tommy Rich cuts that promo talking about you. We're full blooded Italians, and I am a fan of, and I always say this: comedy has a place in wrestling as long as it's done right.
Yes.
And the FBI is the perfect example of that because everybody, including the wrestlers, is in on the joke and it's funny, but it doesn't make anybody, you know what I mean? It doesn't make anybody less credible. It doesn't make Tracy Smothers or Tommy Rich any less credible that they are doing this because they're the heels and they're almost saying they're full-blooded Italians to jab at the Italians. I don't know, like I said,
Yeah.
comedy and wrestling has a place is if it's done properly.
Yeah, and the way it's done properly is the guys doing it are credible people and they're not in on the joke. If
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
I
um
enjoyed the.
oh, go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
I was just gonna say I enjoyed at one point during the match because obviously if this match is what it is, and no discredit to Blue Meanie, but Nova's doing most of the work for the Blue World Order, obviously. But I love the one part where Tracy Smothers has he kind of gets Meanie or gets over to the mat, and then he just points over at Meanie. He goes, "Tag the fat boy! Tag the fat
Yeah,
boy!" I thought that was funny.
yeah, and um there's no way, and I'm sure if he was on here, he'd tell you that he did. There's no way that Guido didn't learn a lot from being with Tracy and
Oh
Tommy
yeah.
Rich. But it shows that like people can say what they want to say about Southern style wrestling. Southern style wrestling is wrestling. Like it works wherever you're at, and they're doing Southern style wrestling at a dog track in Boston. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
if what I'm saying makes sense, like these guys are what professional wrestling in that type of environment is supposed to be. And then
Mm-hmm. Well,
like I didn't have a lot of notes on the match, but when you talked about Nova doing most of the work, first off, Nova, is he skinny fat? I think he's skinny fat.
Yeah, he's he's thick on a small frame, I guess is the best way. Like he's not a tall guy, but he's a thick guy. So yeah, like he's not fat, but he looks like he might be plump. I don't know. Yeah, he just
Yeah. And um he's also a guy that before he got to the big leagues, or how do I say it? Like I enjoyed Simon Dean, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, but I think that Simon Dean character derailed what his career could have been, I think.
I think so too.
Because I mean, it was good for his personality, but it's like, you really limited what he could do,
It did,
I
and
think.
I have always thought that about Matt Stryker too, with the teacher gimmick in
Yeah,
2007 or whatever. Like, you know, Matt Stryker, he turned out being a really good color commentator, but I always thought that he could have been a much more like, almost like it's almost like you could take Simon Dean, Nova, whatever. If you took Simon Dean and Matt Stryker and put them together as a snotty little heel tag team without the silly gimmicks, they might even I might even have built a tag team here because I think they would have been a good heel tag team. But yeah, you're right. It's
yeah.
sometimes the gimmick can derail somebody.
And I know from everything I heard, like Mike Bucci kind of had like a Terry Taylor type attitude or whatever, but and not the he had like the Terry Taylor type attitude, but not the talent or politicking of it. But not I shouldn't say talent. Well, you know what I'm saying. But
Mm-hmm.
um, when he said he was doing most of the work, which he was, and Blue Meanie obviously wasn't. Like there wasn't. I don't have a lot of notes for the match, but like there was like a question in the middle of it. And if Chad was on here, I was hoping maybe he'd answer, and you could answer too. But I'll just get your answer. Every once in a while, I like doing this with a random wrestler. Blue Meanie, yay or no?
That it's as crazy as it sounds. You wouldn't think so. Blue Meanie's a hard one for me because I don't like him. I don't like his wrestling so much. But I think that was it Brian Heffron? Is that his name?
Yeah,
I think I think he's very entertaining. He entertains me. Like so, if you're saying yay or nay as an actual in ring worker wrestler, but I do think like as far as like even listening to him as in like real like shoot interviews, he's funny. He's a you could tell he's a wrestling fan that became a wrestler because he really could
oh,
talk
yeah,
old school wrestling.
he
Like
did.
I like him a lot. So I don't want to say nay because I actually like him a lot, and I think some of the Blue Meanie stuff is fucking funny.
I do
So
too. I said
I'd say yay. I'd say yay on Meanie.
I say yay ECW. I say nay.
WWF, the Blue Dust shit and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But he was also hampered by the fact that Vince Russo was writing it. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know why, but you and I were both like, yay, yay. If Chad were here, for some reason, I think Chad, this would be one of those people where Chad would be like, you fucking idiot.
yeah.
I
I don't think he'd
I
like him.
feel like Chad would shit on Meanie.
Yeah, I do too.
But yes, I'd say a slight yay on Meanie for me because he does entertain me. And like I said, I always like listening to him on shoot interviews and stuff. He actually did, and you know, I don't have any shame plugging other podcasts on our shows, especially people that I like. If you've ever listened to it, he did an interview with Brian Solomon on Shut Up and Wrestle. That was actually one of my favorite episodes that show Brian ever did because it was just a really good interview. And like I said, you could tell Meanie's a big fan of wrestling that became a wrestler,
Yeah,
and yeah, it seems very down to earth. Kind of, he's really funny. Um, Meanie actually, excuse me, hits a meanie salt on Tracy Smothers in this one, and I thought with that low ceiling when he went up to the top I was like,
Oh, he
oh, there's
made it
no
right.
way
He
he's
made
actually
it
gonna do
right through
this.
the middle. He made sure he made it through the
Yeah.
middle where the light fixture was at or whatever.
Because I was like, oh, somebody's gonna knock him off the top or something. There's no way he's actually gonna. And I was like, oh shit, he did it.
And I like the fact that Joey was like, it's the first time he's ever actually hit somebody with it. And Tommy Rich screwed him out of it.
Yeah, hit it. Meanie hit
Meanie's
some.
also crazy because he's a big fat guy, but he has no ass. Like, Chad talked about like guys that should pull their trunks up, like they pull their trunks up when they hit a move,
Mhm.
and that's annoying. He should pull his pants up more. He doesn't.
Built like Bill Dotrieve.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
Um,
fucking one of the funniest lines of that new King of the Hill was, Hike, I finished Netflix. Like
I
I like
finished
that.
Netflix. Yeah.
That I finished
Yeah.
Netflix. And he goes, and did you know that after you finish Netflix, you get something called a wellness check? Yeah. I finished Netflix, Hank. Like when he said that, I'm like, that's funny. And
Yeah,
did you know after you
that
finish it?
got a big living room pop over here too. Me and the wife both cackled at that.
Anyway.
Are we multi-gender?
What
Oh,
is
my
code?
question.
What
My
is code?
question to my question to you and Chad was going to be, because I guess I just never, it's funny when I come across something, and especially 90s wrestling, because me, like I'm that fucking nerd that knows it. Like, who is this guy? What was this guy? This guy was in this
I
promotion
don't
for
know
2 weeks,
Inchworm.
but all right. I was gonna say, who the fuck is Inchworm? I don't know who he is, if he ever did anything else, what his
He's
story
probably,
is.
I don't know. He's probably a Rob Feinstein's dark web.
Well, the FBI beats the BWO. Then we get Joey back talking once again about the Raven thing. And now he's saying, based on what this video with Raven that we're going to show you later on, no matter when we get to show it, is going to put into question whether Stevie Richards is still with the BWO or is he back with Raven. And then we get an Eliminators promo. We get an Eliminators
It's all right.
promo.
And it's good. Like, I'm always a Perry Saturn fan. Okay. Like through his time with WCW, even all up until fucking Moppy, and then when he wore the big hat and fucked up Mike Bell and all that shit. I was always a Perry Saturn fan, but this Perry Saturn is like the best Perry Saturn
Very,
in my
very
opinion.
intense.
Yeah.
Saturn is one of those guys that is in this. I hope this makes sense when I say it. He's one of those guys that is very good at a whole body promo. And when I say that, I mean everything matters. He's the way that he looks at the camera, the way, because some guys are good at a certain kind of promo. He's good at a whole body promo. They don't necessarily do the same thing because the other guy I'm going to mention takes more kind of a funny approach to his promos. But Perry Saturn's promos are like a Don Morocco promo, in that there is an intensity. And a lot of Don Morocco, which is great. A lot of Don Morocco promos are almost also stand-up comedy, because Don Morocco is fucking funny as shit. I think Don Morocco is hilarious. He's one of my favorite promos ever. But what I say by full
Yeah.
body promo is everything that Morocco does with his face and his hands and it's a
Yeah.
different level with like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan too. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. Like, Perry's very
It
good
does.
at his whole body doing the promo.
Yeah. And Don could be
Like,
serious when he needed to be.
it's all coming down.
And when he needed to be funny, he was funny. And Perry could be funny when he wanted to be funny. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just decided what they're just hinged on what the situation was and the character he was playing at the time. But Intense Perry Saturn is promo wise my favorite Perry Saturn.
And I know, and we use it as a punchline a lot of times on our shows, but the intensity, Doc and Gordy, Gordy and Doc. Like his intensity is hardcore, and then you have Cronus behind him being essentially a psycho.
Yeah. How many licks does it take to get to the middle of a Tootsie Pop? 1, 2, 3, 3-time tag team champions. Like, let's go. Like he knows he's got his
and
fucking.
Saturn's like, let's go.
He's got his crackhead.
I love it. I actually wrote that down too. Cronus does, like Aaron just said, Cronus does a thing in like his kind of his Riddler voice where he's like, how many licks does it take? He does the 1, 2, 3, and then he says, we're the 3-time tag team champions. And then I loved the fact that Perry, you hear Perry go, come on, let's go. And I love the fact that Cronus looked in the camera and went, I gotta go.
Yeah. This guy's crazy.
Sorry, guys. I gotta go. Yeah. This guy's crazy. Yeah, he's like, this guy's crazy. As he's fucking nuts. It's great. They're a great great tag team.
Yes.
But essentially, they just are, talk about being the 3-time champions. They run down the other tag teams in ECW. And then we get an Eliminators video. I don't know what rap song it was set to, but this was set to, obviously, assigned music by Peacock.
No, well, yeah, I Shazammed it.
I was going to say, I did not Shazam it, but you might have.
I did Shazammed it. Is that, I don't know if that's the proper way to say it. But it is a song called We, and it is by a band called Mo Thugs.
Mo Thugs.
Mo Thugs. And Mo Thugs is well known enough that I could Google Mo Thugs, and I got some of their group names, like some of the people in the group.
Yeah.
Members include Wishbone, Lazybone, Busybone, Crazybone, Scantbone, J-Bone.
I feel like they should have been called Mo Bones.
Well, and then you got Ken Dog and D Nut.
Mo Bone Thugs in Harmony.
with Ken Dog and D Nut. And Ken Dog is just Ken Dog.
He's the white guy. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any idea what actual song this would have been set to. I'm sure it was.
I don't either.
Because and that's the one thing where I'm like, I get mad when I'm watching ECW on WWE stuff because they dub over everything. But then I'm like, well, it's not their fault. They have to dub over everything because Paulie just used music with no permission to ever use. You know what I mean? Like he just blatantly used songs he had no permission to use, hoping that nobody gave a shit because ECW wasn't huge. Because that's why as the time goes on and ECW gets a little more mainstream, they have to start using their own versions of songs.
Yeah. And it happened with NWA when they started whatever, and they started producing VHS tapes. I think it was Tony talked about it, where they started getting with that and like licensing videos and shit. And they had people coming in and it's like, the Rock and Roll Express come out to this, and the Midnight Express come out to that, and Dusty comes out to that, and they had video production people or video producers being like, so you talk to these people, and Crockett was just like, now we just use it, and they were like,
we can't do that.
You can't do that.
This isn't the 70s. Like this isn't the territories anymore.
Oh no, you can't do that now.
Yeah, and that is the thing too. Like territorial wrestling, the record labels didn't give a shit. They weren't giving a shit.
They didn't even know.
Yeah, they didn't care that Kerry Von Erich was coming out to Modern Day Warrior, or even as late as we're in 97. We're in 97 here. I mean, fucking, I'm watching USWA from 92, and Jeff Jarrett's still coming out to Simply Irresistible. It's like, but if it was the WWF,
Yeah, I'm just saying those people fucking know that Jeff Jarrett was coming out to it in a fucking Walmart to Sharp Dressed Man or whatever. They were fucking, they're simply irresistible. They didn't fucking know.
After the Eliminators video, Joey comes back, hypes up the Raven video again, saying we will see this video regardless of when it happens. We will see the video on the show. Then we get a promo bit from the new combination, because we aren't that long after Barely Legal, so it's still a new combination of Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and Bill Alfonso. You know what's kind of funny is when I think of Bill Alfonso, I always think of him as the manager of Rob Van Dam and Sabu. I never think of him as the manager of Taz, even though he was Taz's manager for a considerable amount of time. Just this act is so much better.
Yeah, I agree. And it went a lot
Um,
longer, and it went more into
just
like
like no matter who,
the
not the Paul. I was just gonna say it's kind of like not the Paulie Dangerously character because it's almost like two different things, but just like with Paul Heyman in his current incarnation, not Paulie Dangerously. With Paul Heyman, no matter who he manages, no matter how long he was with Roman Reigns and he was the wise man, I'll always think of Paul Heyman as Brock Lesnar's advisor. You know what I mean? Like Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar's like peanut butter and jelly.
yeah, I agree.
Say something stupid, Paul. That's one of my favorite fucking I don't know, that's one of my favorite fucking things ever. Say something stupid, Paul. Um Yeah, Fonzie and RVD and Sabu are talking pretty much about the New York loop that ECW is going to go on here coming up. And Fonzie talks about how New York is crooked, it's filthy. He cuts a promo on all their enemies, Taz and Dreamer and the Dudleys and blah, 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 blah. And then RVD talks about how he's coming. He just wants all the promoters to know that he's coming to Queens, New York. And I love the line, I'm just going to be 1 hour from the tower.
Um, I think it's the fact like when
And
you think of like Fonzie with them or whatever, like they were just such a good act, you know. Like
mhm.
um, Fonzie worked better with them, and then like you said, like RVD's this big boisterous, I'm this and I'm that, and then he'd say some shit like I'm better than everybody else on the roster, and then Sabu'd be like, not maybe not better than you, maybe not better than
Hey,
you,
calm down,
Sabu.
calm down, calm down.
And
No,
then he looked
I
at the camera
actually
and be like,
have that. I actually
I
have that
actually
written
am a little
down.
better.
I actually have that written down on my notes in the show, and it could be applied to any time we're going to watch them in the future too. But one of my favorite things about the dynamic of Van Dam and Sabu is that Van Dam is such a narcissist that he is literally tag teaming with the most violent man in wrestling, who, if he really pissed him off, would probably jab him with a fork or something. And he is such a narcissist, he doesn't even realize it. Yeah, hey, calm down, Sabu, calm down. I fucking love it. Like Sabu would be like,
Yeah,
and like anybody else would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. But RVD's just like, hey, man, chill out, calm down. I don't mean you, Sabu. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
I just they have such a great fucking and it's because they were really good friends, obviously, in real
yeah.
life. But they have such a great fucking chemistry.
It's like, shut the front door. I wasn't talking about you, man. Settle down. Obviously, you're tougher than me. Huh? And
And then he
be like,
looks at the camera and goes, "I'm still the toughest man in ECW." Yeah, such a good fucking such a great combo. Sometimes Fonzie annoys me, but he is really good. Like there are times I'm annoyed by Bill Alfonso. The whistle gets on my fucking nerves, but it's supposed to, I guess. It's almost like Jimmy Hart with the fucking megaphone. It's the whistle
yeah,
is Fonzie's megaphone.
yeah.
But the three of them together are one of the best things in the whole run of the ECW promotion. So the next match we have on the show is Rob Van Dam versus Spike Dudley. And before the match begins, of course, Rob Van Dam makes the ring announcer who is this ring announcer?
I have a fucking idea.
All right. I was like, maybe somebody else will know who this guy is. I don't know. He's just
I have
probably
no
just a
idea who
local
it is.
guy then. Um, but obviously, Rob Van Dam's making the ring announcer kind of subtly hype him up to the big two, the big promotions, WWF and WCW. Um, and I liked the fact that during the match, obviously Spike and Van Dam can do a lot of high spots together. I like the fact that Joey. It's funny because Joey's like this begrudgingly commentator about Rob Van Dam because he's like, I know this guy is one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet, but I wish he'd stop shilling for Stanford and Atlanta on ECWT. Like he's like, I have to
Yeah,
admit how good he is, but what a fucking asshole.
what a prick. And um, I'm not the hugest Spike Dudley fan in the world, but he's like, how do I say it? Like, if you really, Rob's good in whatever you're gonna do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
in that
Mm-hmm.
era of wrestling, from like 1990, 94, 5 to 2015 or whatever. Rob's top 5, top 6. You might not put him that high, but I would. You know,
I would
in that
my personal top whatever.
you
Not
got to
to,
at least put him in the
my
top
personal
10.
top whatever. I would. Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't put him that high, but he's definitely top 10 of his generation. Um, in ring, absolutely, yes.
Okay. So if you want to
And
present this guy, and oh god,
hmm, that was it.
I was gonna say if you want to present this guy as like trying to like show him off or whatever, there's two different. They're totally different people, but they're two people that you want to put him in there with. Somebody like Spike, who is smaller than him, that can get slammed around by him like that, how Spike did, or somebody like Bam Bam who can catch him and do all that shit. Like his
Mhm.
two best opponents in ECW, in my opinion, other than obviously Jerry Lynn. So like him and Jerry Lynn's, it's a different plateau, and we'll get there later on.
Mhm.
But like the most I've ever like because him and Spike wrestle a lot, you know. But I just his my three favorite opponents for RVD and ECW are Spike, Bam Bam,
Mhm.
and it's all for different reasons.
But I understand. I understand what you're saying about RVD and Jerry Lynn being an exception to, like, you know what I mean. Just like it's like when I say who are my favorite Bret Hart opponents, I just say Brett and Sean is a different animal, so I take Shawn and Michaels out of the equation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's those instances where there's like that perfect opponent for somebody. So then I say, okay, I'm going to take that out just so I can give somebody else put somebody else on this list.
yeah.
Because
Or just on the shows we're watching, it's like, okay, oh, I really love Brian Pillman. Okay, well, let's take Jushin Liger out of the equation.
mm-hmm,
And who else did you like watching him wrestle?
right,
That type of stuff.
totally agree. Yeah.
But RVD ends up hitting the Van
This match
Daminator.
itself, like I said, it's
Sorry, I didn't mean to
you're
interrupt you.
you're saying exactly what I was going to say. So just go right ahead. No,
Well, I was gonna say he hit the Van Daminator on it, but was it only on my TV or was it the tape, the master tape they have or whatever? But in the middle of the match, like the audio is super spiked up. That happened to you?
I I didn't. I don't think so. And I don't
Well,
know.
you don't
Maybe
watch
I don't
TV
know
as loud
because,
as I do.
and I also
But
don't watch wrestling. I also watch wrestling. I also watch wrestling on. I watch most of the wrestling that we review for these shows on my computer and not my TV too. So
oh well,
that
I
might make a
watched it on my
difference.
TV because watching shit on a small screen makes my head hurt. And then I do watch TV louder than you, but like when I was the master tape on this thing like spiked, where I was like, "Holy shit!" and I had to like turn it down. But anyway, um, Van Dam ends up hitting the Van Daminator on Spike, gets to 1, 2, 3, and then post match, RVD and Sabu beat down Spike Dudley, and they hit Spike with the leg drop, frog splash combo, which becomes their main tag team finisher. Which every time they hit it, I'm always super impressed. And in my mind, it's like that is one of the best fucking finishers a tag team has, and it shows the true like athleticism and
To do it
whatever you want to say about those guys.
to do it every single night, every single time, and never collide with each other is talent. People don't realize that. It's just like the same with the fucking Rockers, you know? They have so many synchronized moves where if it was you and me, we'd probably fucking run into each other all the time. Like
we'd just jam. We'd hit our heads together and be, we'd smack our skulls together and just be pudding heads. We'd just be a couple.
People don't realize how.
We'd just be a
people
couple.
Don't realize how impressive.
Here.
Stone cold piece of shit. People don't realize how impressive it is that two huge men can fling themselves through the air at the same target every single night and never fucking bump into each other.
Yeah.
If you don't, I don't know. It's impressive as shit. You are.
Yes. And then Sabu goes to, like, I love the fact that Joey's like, Spike Dudley's rolled out of the ring. He's out of harm. Oh no, he's rolled onto a table. Like, Spike rolled out and rolled onto a table. And then Sabu goes.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah, he goes to hit the leg drop. But when he hits the leg drop, he doesn't hit it. He basically drives Spike through the table with his ass. Like, he lands his ass on his face, and they go through the table. And then Joey said something that I thought was cool. He was like, we've now seen Bill Alfonso as the new manager, and he's brought out this new Sabu. And then he goes, wait a minute, sorry, he's brought out the old Sabu. The old Sabu is back. I'm paraphrasing on what he said.
Yeah.
But he was saying, like,
Sabu might have gotten a little, he was doing a lot of the respect thing and shit not too long ago,
Yeah, but this is we might be having to put this guy back on a board and put a mask on his face type of thing,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So the next thing we have in this, I was hoping that Chad would be here because I wanted to write down I have something to say to Aaron and Chad, and they might actually shit on me on this week's episode of Reliving the Extreme. The next segment that we have is actually, I thought, was one of the cooler things that I've ever seen involving Tommy Dreamer and his character.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right. I wasn't alone. Like, we fucking harp on Tommy a lot on this show about the community theater shit and put upon Tommy and everything.
I enjoy it, but then they
go ahead, Aaron.
Good. I'm just saying, like, they do a good job, and then they kind of ruin it a little bit. But go ahead.
So I'll give you the gist of the first part of it. Is the part that I liked. We get a hype central with Joel Gertner. And he's doing the Joel Gertner shtick, and he's the stud muffin, and blah, 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 blah. And then he talks about how you can get the Beulah McGillicuddy t-shirt for $20, but essentially Terry Funk can get it for $15 because of what she'll do for Terry Funk.
After Tommy goes to sleep.
After Tommy goes to sleep. And then he says, but it fits really well because just like Beulah, her t-shirt is very loose.
Yes.
So your standard Joel Gertner.
Yeah. And then it does a little jump cut, and we come back, and Tommy's just kicking the shit out of Joel.
And I really liked this.
Like, I liked the fact that it wasn't like Tommy walked up to him and said some shit. It was just like, oh shit, this happened. Okay, now he's getting his ass kicked. And then Lou shows up.
And they made it so realistic. With the banner falling down and everything, we almost saw the ironing board in the washing machine.
Yeah. And Louis shows up, and he's trying to help Joel. and I like the fact that like they pulled him apart, and and what Louis didn't pick him up and they waddled out or whatever. Like he literally drug the lifeless body of Joel Gertner out by one arm. Like I like that. And to me, it's like if they would have just ended it at that, it would have been perfectly fine. But then roll into the
But
match with we have to roll into the match with Chris Chetty versus Louis, and then we have to have the dramatic. I'm trying to figure out what to call Tommy's. Like I said, dramatic.
Dreamatic actually works.
A shitty dramatic promo from Tommy about you put that hand up, and I respect some of the guys that do that. And it's like Jesus Christ, like I could have just done with him kicking the shit out of him here, and then being so mad later on during the rookie Spicoli match they ran out there. It's like I didn't need the shitty dramatic promo in the middle. That's the only thing.
Yeah, because after that, during the match, Tommy comes out, breaks up the match between Louis Spicoli and Chris Chetty, and breaks Louis Spicoli's fingers. And this was, and you're absolutely right, Aaron, this was what we call in management a shit sandwich. We started out with something good, had the bad in the middle, and then we ended with something good. That's how we coach in management. And
I don't
that's
need
what we
you
had
to
here,
explain
a shit
to me.
sandwich.
Yeah, I don't need you to explain it to me, man. You over-explained it.
The guy insulted your woman, you punch him in the fucking face, and then the other guy helped him, so you broke his fucking fingers. It makes sense. You don't need to talk.
It worked. Shut the fuck up and just actions speak louder than words.
There are so many people. There are so many people on this show, at least this episode, that they're going to be gone. And like, as we're reviewing the show, I'm just like, hey, Raven's about to leave, Steve's about to leave, Saturn's about to leave, Spicoli's about to leave. There's a lot of people that are going to be on their way out in the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I said like it might. I know
so that'll be something.
Oh, good.
That'll be something cool to talk about as we go on. Like as you pluck people out, like to see who they're replacing them with.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun too. And like I don't know if we decided or not, but like we're gonna go into doing the pay-per-views. Like I said, I didn't know if we were gonna do like the little mini super shows in the middle of it or not, because you get like undercard talent that's coming in or not. It's up to you.
It's a tough one. Well, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. And the only reason I say that is because I see what you're saying. Is there's like people that maybe you see them on the super show, but you don't see them on TV. But now pay-per-views for sure. If it is a pay-per-view, if it is like Heat Wave, November to remember, if it's a pay-per-view, absolutely. It's an isolated show. The only problem with the not pay-per-view big shows is then you have like they compose like 3 or 4 weeks of TV. So then you're skipping TV, so you're skipping like promos and stuff that might be building. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll have to we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's the skip of the super show sometimes it's fun to see like the Poppy Chulos.
How about a compromise? How about a compromise?
Like if we would skip super shows, we're never gonna watch the entire match of Tommy Dreamer versus Raven on his way out. Because that wasn't a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one for me, just because, like I said, we're if we don't watch the TV, we don't get a lot of stuff. And do I want to dedicate the time to watch the Super Show and then watch it all again on the TV? I don't know.
You're not gonna watch it all again. You're gonna see the 3 main events, but you're gonna miss the fucking JT Smith return and yeah. Anyway, we'll
fucking
see how it goes.
ECW making shit difficult. Well, we finally get the Raven promo that Joey's been hyping up through the whole show. And he's been doing it. Like I said, we know this is because he is leaving. He's going to be leaving ECW soon. The Raven character spiraling out of control, pretty much getting his comeuppance for everything awful that he's done to everyone over the years. So now he's in hell, and he's inviting Dreamer and and Sandman and everybody, all of his opponents to join him in hell. But not you, Stevie. Stevie, Stevie. He starts calling out Stevie. Then he walks into what it says it's a BWO dressing room, but it's essentially just Stevie Richards in a room sitting on a chair.
Yes.
like a chair from a classroom. And he kind of just starts screaming at Stevie to take him out, essentially like he wants Stevie Richards to kill him. My question to you was, why did any of this make Joey think that Stevie was back with Raven?
I think what it was because like Raven was cutting the promo about suffering and this, that, and everything, and I'm gonna go back to hell, and and then Raven said, "Oh, fuck that." Basically, in the promo, like he had banded his promo, and that's when he was calling for Stevie and asking Stevie to end him. And then by the end of it, they were cuddling. That might have something to do with it. I don't fucking know. The whole thing seemed really convoluted. I was trying to figure out a way to make it all make sense, but it doesn't, because it doesn't. Like he kicked the shit out of Stevie, so like you're saying, it's like, this guy just kicked the shit out of me. It's like, why would I want to go back with him? I don't know. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It made no sense.
And again, like I said, I think a lot of this is because, like I said, I think even in the behind the scenes in ECW, they're aware that it's time to start wrapping things up with Scott Levy, because he's going to be leaving, and they're kind of rushing it. And it is what it is. It's still Raven. It's still entertaining, but and you know what? Actually, it's Raven, so it's also a little confusing. I thought, as we are now at the end of the show, I actually thought that this episode of the show was good, and I thought that this was we're moving on from Barely Legal. Things are going in the right direction. Like I said, you've got RVD and Sabu and Fonzie together now. There's a lot of things going in the right direction between last week's episode and this week's episode. And like I always say that ECW peaked at Barely Legal, but I always also reiterate there is still a lot of good shit.
Yeah. And like you said, it's peak ECW, and I know a lot of crazier shit's gonna happen, and I know you feel that way, but there's still, like, I don't know. We're different ages. So to me, like,
well, like I said, that's why it's hard, because I always say I do think that the promotion peaked at the first pay-per-view, but there is still, through the rest of the promotion, there's still a lot of redeeming qualities. I'm never saying that it was bad. I'm just saying I don't think it was ever as good as it was as a whole ass promotion after Barely Legal.
yeah.
But there's still great shit coming.
The stories fall off, but the shows themselves, like a standalone ECW pay-per-view, is fucking insane. Like, especially in pay-per-views where there's like no break, you know? It's just like, oh, this shit happens. Oh, crazy shit. Oh, now this happened. Oh shit, now this happened. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like one thing after the other. It's like insanity wrestling. But anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, he for instance, Heatwave '98 is like one of the best wrestling pay-per-views ever presented. You know, as an like you said, as an isolated pro wrestling card, it's like from beginning to end, it's a fucking whirlwind, and it's entertaining. And before you know it, it's over, and that's what I want. You know, it's like Canadian Stampede, man. It's just like, it's up there.
This shit spills out into this shit, and it's like, where the fuck did Mabel come from? Like, what is happening? Like, it's fun.
But overall, like I said, I gave this episode, I didn't necessarily give it a grade this week, but I gave it a thumbs up for this episode of ECW. I enjoyed it. Nothing bored me. Nothing really even pissed me off, other than even the Dreamer stuff was good, other than the one promo. So, yeah. Good episode.
I enjoyed it.
Of ECW, and we're back in the saddle, like we said. Get back to our weekly schedule here as we head into the fall. It's even easier to keep a weekly schedule in the fall and winter because, you know, it's not summer. It's not spring. So,
I'm contained indoors. It'll be all right.
The wife and I travel a lot less during the fall and winter. So yeah, we'll get back into our weekly thing here, and hopefully Chad can join us next week. We were hoping he'd make it this week, but he was apparently not able to. But that being said, Aaron, unless you have any parting words, we'll sign off here for this week on Reliving the Extreme.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you guys for listening.
Keep supporting, keep subscribing to the YouTube page, keep telling your friends, your family, everybody that likes old school wrestling, especially ECW, about Reliving the Extreme. And we'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great week.